Yo, what's up? I'm Anthony. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. I have a serious vans collection, one of the largest half cab collections in the world, and one of the most nearly complete and thorough collections of DEF CON sneakers. Vans all the time. Over 300, teetering into 350, 400 probably. I don't have to count anymore. I've been collecting since like 06, I would say. So about 15, 16 years of actually actively collecting. It didn't start Vans, it started with other brands. I started with Etnies, probably like 03-ish. That was like pre-collecting. It was more out of necessity then. Like I was just buying shoes and I got into it and I was like, oh, this, you find a pair you like and then that pair goes away at some point. So when I figured that out, I started buying shoes in multiples so I could have the pair I liked. And then later on I got turned on to Nike SB. That I dabbled in SB. I wouldn't say I dabbled. I collected SB pretty hard for 05, 06 to it was a few years. It was over 100 SBs for a while, and then I got out of those. They just weren't doing what I wanted anymore, and it wasn't what I was into, and they hurt my feet, man. So I wanted something else. Vans were always around, we didn't have we're in Omaha, so we didn't have a whole lot of skate shops and stuff that were putting out Vans. So it was early days of Vans, it was mall stores, man, it was Gadzooks, it was Pacific Sunlight. When I started, so I had a big SB collection, I had a handful of Vans throughout, and then I discovered Vans Syndicate down the road, and once I found those, I was done with SB completely, and most of my SBs got sold off. Then I started buying Syndicates really heavily, and then just started getting into more Vans. Find deeper lines of Vans. There's the Vans Vault line, Vans Skate. So there's a lot to choose from with Vans. They had a lot of different lines. They had a lot of different silhouettes. There's something for everybody in Vans. Vans Syndicate started it was like 05. Vans Syndicate started. It was an elevated level of line of Vans, more quality materials, bringing in different collaborators, musicians, artists, skaters. It was real heavy on design and quality. And they lasted until 2015. Early, it was some skate pros, some half cabs, nothing crazy. I didn't, and then I found the stronger lines, the more limited stuff that Vans was putting out, and of course that's appealing to a collector. If something's limited, obviously, that's what we're all drawn to. We all want what nobody else has. So that Syndicate line being a little more obscure, and the focus on materials really set a bar for what was expected and what I wanted, especially out of a pair of Vans. It was a higher quality build, it was more technical, it was better materials, and they just checked all the boxes constantly. It was, every time Syndicate put something out, there was a cool story behind it. Good names. They had everybody, all sorts of legend skaters were behind it. It was the best that Vans was putting out at the time. Everything was killer. There wasn't a skate shop here that carried Vans until way late. Like all the Vans here it came from the mall, man. It was Gadzooks, Pacific Sunwear. Department stores had the off brand Vans, you might say.
Yeah.
They weren't getting the skate line. They didn't have half cabs. They didn't, you know, it was just what moms were buying their kids essentially, right? So yeah, then we got, you know, Silo opened up here. We got a good skate shop. They got, they're the ones who were carrying the Syndicate line. Yeah, I didn't find out about Syndicate until the owner of Silo was like, you should check these out. You know, if this is your background, this is what you've been into, this is, you know, you want the elevated footwear. He's like, this is this line from Vans, it's called the Syndicate. It's, you know, it's their best. And that's how I found it. It all came from the store owner there. His name's Brant. Can't say enough good things about Silo. Absolutely, the half cab is my go-to. It's a mid-cut. I'm not real big on low shoes, and a high is usually just too high for me. A half cab landed perfectly in the middle. When I was riding BMX, I want that extra ankle protection. That was always important. So anything mid-cut is really my jam. Skate mid, half cab. I'll rock some old schools here and there. The Chukka is always a good go-to. I want to say like 2009, 2010 is when really hardcore, like pretty much just Vans at that point. And then it was the anniversary of the half cab, the 20th anniversary of the half cab would have been 2012. So once that happened, they were doing half cabs every month, special edition half cabs for the anniversary. And then shortly after that, my half cab collection really took off, and I couldn't get enough half cabs. I collect it because I want it and I want to wear it. And that shoe has a purpose, man. Put it on your feet and wear it. Nobody's coming into my closet to look at my shoes. Nobody gives a shit. And like you wear like some heat in Omaha, Nebraska, especially on Vans, man, nobody's really gonna pick that up. Like, you gotta find somebody else who's into it to really be like, oh shit, you know, they'll recognize what's on your feet. It's the time of Nike right now, so we're in the back seat. But there's so much good stuff. There's so many good pairs of Vans, and once you get into the Vans world and you start paying attention to what they're doing and who they're collaborating with and the Vans agenda, you got to appreciate it. And they're doing it, man. They're out there and they're putting out heat left and right. Social media has ruined sneakers on one level, and on a whole other level, it's opened so many doors on, you know, so many different ways. I didn't find out about the social media world of sneakers until I was deep into it. And I was like, oh, there's a bunch of dudes out there like me spending way too much on Vans and like buying more shoes than they can possibly wear, and start meeting people all across the world, all across the country that are into the same shit that you are. One good example, it's my buddy Randy. He lives in Corona, California, out in SoCal. I would consider this dude one of my best friends in the world. I didn't meet this guy until he got into the Vans social media world, and like I go out and visit him. Anytime there's something going on in SoCal, I go out there. He meets up with me. He's my homie, man. We'll talk shoes all day. I talk to him almost every single day. We're messaging and talking about what's going on with Vans. There's groups, man. There's tons of groups out there. There's so many, like, what are called Waffle heads. That's the Vans collector community. Under the Palms is probably the biggest one there. It's just a collective, man. It's like, here's all of us. We're all into the same shit. There's just no end to it, and then you start seeing there's guys like us all over the world, man. Every corner of the world's got Vans, and there's somebody there who's into it, and they're buying way too many. Scotland has a pretty decent Vans following. Of course, Japan, China, Vietnam, all of those countries, like, there's so much. They're everywhere, and it's not what you would expect constantly, like, So there's a shop in Berlin. It's the Vans Butcher Block. It's one of the German van stores. It's in this historic building, this Butcher Block building area. This half cab was put together for their 10th anniversary. It's 2017, which was also the 25th anniversary of the half cab. The guy who was managing the store, his name is Stefan Slow. He posted these just as something he had made for their anniversary. And I messaged him when he posted them, this is an awesome design. Are these coming out? Is this a store collab? And he's like, no, it's just, we had 25 pairs produced for, the guys in the store in Vans Europe, the corporate guys around there. So, it's based off of the interior of their store. These green tiles are what the interior looks like. And at one point, Steve Caballero was in the store, and he liked the way that those tiles looked. And there was previously a slip-on of the same design. And Steve Caballero said they should do a half cab. And the way the years lined up with it being the 25th anniversary of the cab and their 10th anniversary, they did the 25 pairs of these. And months after I had messaged Stefan, he had sent me a message back, and he was like, you have a really impressive half cab collection. I have a size 11 of these just chilling. Nobody claimed them. Do you want them? If they're yours, man, you cover shipping, and they're yours. And I'm an 11 and a half, man, so that all just fell into place perfectly, and my love of half cabs netted me this extremely limited half cab that's absolutely beautiful. As far as social media goes, I'm not gonna, without social media, I'm not gonna link up with anybody in Vans out of Berlin, man. That never would have happened. So with, plenty of good and bad in social media. So this one was a half cab. It was a 10th anniversary half cab for a skate shop in the UK called 50/50. They did 197 pairs of these. They're all exclusive to their shop for their 10th anniversary in 2007. So the 197 was a throwback to them opening in 1997. And then these came into my hands. Actually, a Vans collector, it's this guy named Erwin, a really famous Vans collector, Erwin. He's in the Netherlands, and he's done a couple big clear outs of his collection. These were one of the gems I got off of him that I'd always wanted in my collection and just never made it. And luckily, and throw it back to social media, without meeting him, these wouldn't be in my collection. You form a brotherhood, sort of. You find these guys with the similar interests and start helping each other out, and that's how things make their way to other countries and start getting things where they shouldn't be. There's definitely instances where hype beasts creep into the Vans community. Fear of God. Anytime Vans has done something with fear of God, you start seeing guys come into the community and start talking about highs and lows, and instead of, this is a skate high, this is an old school, this is an authentic, this is an era, it's always highs and lows. So you can pick them out pretty quick if they're not, they're not familiar with the Vans silhouettes. You can kind of tell that they're there for the hype factor. DEF CON's a really big one that brings in all sorts of outsiders. You get a lot of tactical guys, a lot of military guys that aren't super familiar with limited drops, and they're not that good when it comes to checking out quickly and getting in and out and getting what you need and bailing. So there's definitely that level of the hype beast activity going on in Vans. It's not as consistent as Nike or something like that, but we prefer it that way. We don't, this is our club, and not a lot of people want to play in our clubhouse, and that's fine with us, man. But I don't know. It makes it more difficult for sure when something like that comes out and they start getting these other groups of collectors in on it that just want to flip it on eBay because they know they're going to make a quick buck. DEF CON especially, they're going to make 400 times or 400%, you know, what they put into it. It's not hard to, you know, get 800 to $1,000 out of a pair of DEF CONs. But they're hard to get, you know, you gotta be on it, you gotta be on top of your game and know what you're doing, go in and get what you want and get out. But the biggest one, yeah, DEF CON's probably the biggest as far as getting hype beasts in there. Fear of God, same thing when those released, like, it always floods and you see a lot of outsiders coming into the community and asking questions and trying to get the lowdown on where to get them and who's, you know, the best shop to go through, so it happens. There's no avoiding it at this point, man. That's just the name of the game, and it's sneaker hype, man. There's no limits. I stick kind of with what I know. Brands I've never heard of if they're doing a collab, unless it's some crazy looking shoe and I'm like, I gotta have that, or it's a weird half cab, something like that. Then I'll get into it and be like, all right, let's get this half cab. For the most part, no, like I don't swing that, like, just because it's hyped. I don't need it. All right, a top 10. They're gonna be mostly half cabs, man. These orange half cabs up front here. That was a collab with a skate shop out of Chicago called Uprise. They've done 3 different sets of half cabs. This was their first half cab they did as a store collaboration. That's one of my all-time favorite half cabs. Actually, just right next to it, that's a Vans Syndicate half cab, that black and white pair. That was a collaboration with a tattoo artist named Grime. That was a Syndicate pair. Those are just crazy and real hard to come by anymore. Those would definitely be in a top 10. That all blue pair next to those, that was a 20th anniversary collaboration with an artist named Dirty Donnie. He's done a lot of pinball machine art, a lot of musicians. He's done a lot of album covers, poster art, stuff like that. He's one of my personal favorites, so when they announced they're going to do a half cab with Dirty Donnie, I had to have it. The suede on him is out of control. That tone of blue is perfect. I've worn the shit out of that pair. Obviously the Berlin Butcher Block half cabs, those are going to be a top 10. Right next to those is a Vans, that was the Steve Caballero Legends pack, where they started using graphics off of Steve Caballero's old boards. Those are really hard to come by. There's a lot of cool details on those. Just over from there, there's mid-schools with the Pendleton wool. Those were an All Nations Skate Jam collaboration. There's like 50 pairs of those in the world. They're a Tony Alva collab as well. Those are some favorites. Both of these dub taps pairs here, those were some serious grails. The spiderweb pairs, everyone knows those in the Vans community. The Syndicate dub taps collaborations were always a big deal. That Bones pair, that burgundy Bones pair is also a dub taps Syndicate collaboration. And then both rows back here are all DEF CON. And any of these DEF CON pairs would make it into a top 10. These are all, the quality and the builds and the tech on the DEF CON pairs are just top notch consistently. Any of these pairs would be top 10 worthy. It'd be the Berlin half cabs, those will stay with me forever. Probably those orange Uprise half cabs would be in the top 3. And one DEF CON pair to go out of there. These multi-cam old schools probably would be my if I could only keep one. That's a really tough call. I think half cabs they probably have like the best story, the most sentimental. They just check all the boxes. Like there's a cool story behind them. They came from so far away. There's no reason they should be in Omaha, Nebraska, other than I'm obsessed with half cabs. The Dirty Donnie half cabs. I mean, him being one of my favorite artists and designers in general. And then throwing on a half cab and that quality of the suede that's going on in that pair. That's a big one. Yeah. There's an old Friends and Family DEF CON pair. There's about 20 pairs in the world, maybe. Probably dramatically less than that by now. It was like early 2000s when those were made. I've never seen a pair. I've never seen an actual photograph of a pair. I've seen the mock-up drawings of it. They're the absolute unicorn of what's not here. Like that would be the ultimate shoe for me to find. I've accepted I'll never find it, but that would be the one. Vans started in 1966, so they're like, let's make a size 66 and see how asinine we can make it. And so it's a full-on Vans shoe. It's got insoles, it's got everything, man. It's legit. It's a lot of material. It's all the padding and shit's there. These are promotional, deal-only Vans. Puts these in stores. They give them to skate shops. This one in particular is signed by Steve Caballero. This was gifted to me from my local skate shop, actually. Their like regional sales guy was in, and the owner Brand had told him about my half cab collection, my love of half cabs. I had been looking for a size 66 half cab forever. They never pop up for sale. They're really rare, especially this old style of the half cab, size 66. And he was in their store one day, and he had one in his sales trailer that he had in his collection. And he walked out of the store and walked back in with this and flopped up on the counter and said, "Your half cabs are my jam." And I was like, "Yeah, man, they're my jam." And he's like, "This one's yours." This was gifted to me from him. So it's pretty important to me. Like, this is one of my favorite pieces by far. I support it. Vans is constantly upping their technology. They do have a variety of insoles. The Ultra Cush, the Pop Cush is the newest one, and probably the most technically the best insole they've done is their Pop Cush so far. But like, I don't mind. Like they keep improving. They want to make it better. They change their style. They change their technology frequently. So I mean, they're constantly striving to make a better shoe, which you can't fault them for that. I mean, there's ups and downs, of course, like through testing and figuring out what people want, what skaters want, whatever sport they're putting tech into a shoe for. They're constantly changing it. There was a line called Arcad that was really short-lived, and it was about taking old shoes and putting new technology into them and just changing things up and just seeing what they can do. And they know what they're doing. They're not just switching shit up for fun. It's they're trying to make their product better. They're constantly just trying to up their game, and you can't fault them for that. Sure, it might be not as good one year, but they're going to learn from their mistakes and they'll fix it and they'll come back with something different. And they might add a couple components, take away some stuff. That way there you don't end up with, like, I've got 100 half cabs and like probably at least 7, 8, 9 different like textiles in those half cabs. So like, I can show you a dozen different half cabs, and they're all going to fit and feel differently. They all have different technology, different builds, different styles, different paneling. So it's constantly evolving. What used to be the Vans Pro line, Pro Classics, Pro Skate, they've gotten rid of that. They've switched over to Vans Skate, Vans BMX, Vans Surf lines, and where the technology is just different from line to line. That's probably the biggest change in the most recent years, is them losing the Pro line and just going to, a skate or a BMX. If I could pick an idea for them to run with, or something I could play with, I'd throw it back to Steve Caballero's old deck art and graphics, and I'd start building colorways off of the classic boards, the classic graphics. To me, that would just be iconic, and that would just bring it all together full circle to have a line of half cabs, or just a series of half cabs that are all based off of those vintage 80s, 90s graphics. There are so many iconic colorways, and so many graphics as well. Like, you've got a whole variety of his Pro Skate graphics that they could dip into, and that would probably be where I'd start. It would be a half cab with that kind of art behind it, something real design heavy. The next would be anything with Defcon, would be the Ultimate for sure. I'd keep their Pop Cush insole. The 92 style of the half cab with the alternate toe box and paneling, that would be my choice. It would focus on material quality, definitely. A bunch of nice suedes, good colors. It's really all I want. Can't beat a suede half cab. It would be something stacked up like that. Outside of like this, the Rocky Mountain Territory sales rep, like nobody really from Vans. I'm this dude in Omaha, man. They don't want to listen to me. I'm old, man, so like, I want classic, I want good colorways. It doesn't need to be obnoxious, like you see so many brands go into now. Like, you see everything's gotta be really wild, and the target demographic for so many companies is the millennial group, the millennial crowd, and I'm outside of that, so it's hard for me, for like current trends and stuff. They don't appeal to me. I want what I know. I want that 90s, and I want that 2000s styling and that feel and that look. Classic colors. Give me a grown-up half cab, man. I don't want something that's going to be neon and crazy. I'll still buy it probably, but if if it's going to make it to foot and I'm going to wear it frequently, man, give me something, and that could appeal to any age group. Like, you get somebody who's like 19 or 20 in here, they're going to tell you the exact opposite of what I'm telling you. And it's Vans. They still got to make money at the end of the day. They still got to put out what's going to sell big. Collaborations, like, that's what's big right now. Limited collaborations. If you put a limited number on anything, man, they're going to sell out faster than a non-limited shoe. That's just the trend right now, which I support, man. There's plenty of skate shops out there. There's plenty of skaters. There's plenty of skate brands, all sorts. The collaborations are endless, so there's so much that they can do. It's just endless. And give me a notebook and I'll fill it with ideas and brands and collaborations that would be awesome for Vans. It's all over the board too. Like, they collaborate with musicians, with filmmakers, artists, man. Like, there's no stopping them as far as who they'll collaborate with. Fashion, art, music, movies, whatever. They'll do it all. So yeah, there's currently talks. There's been a couple of what they call Waffle head meetups, and that's where the real hardcore Vans collectors would come together. It's typically in SoCal. Right now they're putting one together for like the end of July, beginning of August, probably during the U.S. Open of surfing out there. So it'll be another chance for. Nationwide people show up, man. It's not just a SoCal thing. They get people from all over the country. There's like several groups of collectors. Like there's, like Under the Palms is the biggest as far as like Vans news and like what's coming, and they're kind of like the hub for collectors. Man, everybody knows Under the Palms. Everyone knows Strictly Waffles. There's Wearing Waffles. Like those are probably the main three as far as like setting these things up, getting people together, like building community for Vans collectors. We're out there. We're all over the country. We're all over the world. Anaheim's where Vans is headquartered out of, so of course SoCal is the natural choice for getting everybody together. I would be there. Yeah. This was my second one. I was out there. In August of 21. I was out there for the last Waffle Heads meetup at Blends in Costa Mesa. And there was probably a good 40 of us there. So nothing huge, man, but Blends let us use their store, and everyone comes down, hangs out, just chills, and finally put faces and stuff with names, and everyone meets up, and it's just a bunch of dudes talking about Vans. Homie Randy, he's Preem-Addict on Instagram. Like that dude's just a homie, man. We hit it off right away. We're the same age. We were born within 3 days of each other, actually. And like the similarities in our lives and stuff, like just our likes in general are, it's just crazy. Vans brought, Vans brings a ton of people together, man. Like Vans is a common denominator for so many walks of life. Like we all have way different backgrounds. There's all sorts of worldwide collectors, man. There's Erwin in the Netherlands. He's kind of, dipped out of the collecting world a little bit. Like Billy Cruz from Under the Palms, he was really important, meeting up with him. Eddie, he runs Strictly Waffles. I have not met that dude yet, but he does a lot for the community. He'll probably be at the next one, I think. Clayton, who runs Wearing Waffles, I've met up with him. I've done interviews with him as well. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Sans Syrup. Underscore between Sans and Syrup. You can put it on the screen probably. But yeah, that's really the only social media I'm on is Instagram. Sans Syrup under the name Mantis Toboggan MD. Yeah, man, that's it. That's
cool to hit you up. Cool to ask you questions.
Yeah, hit me up anytime. I'll answer any questions. I'm happy to talk about half cabs all day long. We can talk about Vans all day. Any questions, man, hit me up. I'm more than happy to talk to anyone out there.
And they have a chance, they'll see you in LA?
They're going to see me in LA in July or August, whenever that gets finalized. You can catch me out there. Doing our thing, man. We'll be at the U.S. Open of surfing, it sounds like, for at least a day, and then doing our Vans family thing at an undisclosed location. So that'll be probably open to the public. So if you're a Vans collector and you want to come out, man, come out and say hey. Nobody's gonna turn you away or make you feel like a fool, man. We're welcoming. We're a good group of people.